Earlier today, Paul Pierce decided that he was going to talk some straight blasphemy, and I'm here to break it all down. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest, and I want to get right into today's video. So earlier today, All the Smoke Productions tweeted out this video of Paul Pierce talking on his new show, The Truth Lounge, talking about the potential first-round matchups for the New York Knicks. So, as of right now, Paul Pierce said that if the playoffs were to start right now, the 4-5 matchup between the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers, he said that he would take the Philadelphia 76ers over the New York Knicks right now. Mind you, nobody knows if Embiid is coming back. Everybody is still waiting on Embiid's evaluation for his meniscus tear. And Paul Pierce in the video said that Joel Embiid, but he referred to him as Debo, which was hella funny. But he referred to Joel Embiid saying that he's going to come back. Not sure why or how he knows that Joel Embiid is going to come back. And if he does come back, he's going to come back towards the end of the season. It might be like a week or a couple weeks prior to the playoffs beginning. So I don't think Paul Pierce took into account how Joel Embiid is going to have to build up his stamina, how he's going to have to build up his conditioning, how he's going to get acquainted with the players again, how he has to get reacquainted with the offense running through him. I just feel like this was very, very much so like let me just throw something at the wall and see what sticks. Mind you, he's starting his new show, The Truth Lounge, and I don't know the guy's name. I'm sorry, but it's definitely his boy, and he wanted something to stick. So he just said the first thing that was blasphemy that came out of his mouth and that came into mind. He just said it so he could get some traction. He also goes on to say that the Indiana Pacers, who are one game behind the Philadelphia 76ers, if they were to move up to the number 5 slot, he would take the Indiana Pacers against the New York Knicks. Now, that's an interesting case. The Indiana Pacers moving up to the 5th spot and playing the New York Knicks. In one of the earlier videos, I did say that if that were to happen, I think the Knicks would definitely have to take them a lot more seriously. I would still take the Knicks. I would probably take the Knicks in 6. But the thing is that the Indiana Pacers, most of their players, they don't have any playoff experience. The only people that I can think of at the top of my head, T.J. McConnell, Miles Turner, that's about it. Tyrese Halliburton does not have any playoff experience. Benedict Mathurin does not have any playoff experience. They traded Buddy Hield, who had playoff experience, but Indiana Pacers going into the playoffs, if they were to make it this season, and the team being built around Tyrese Halliburton, that's a different game. That's a different animal. Tyrese Halliburton has never been to the playoffs. He doesn't know what those playoff minutes are like. He doesn't know how the intensity ramps up. And I'm a big advocate for saying that experience is one of, if not the best tool. Last season, the Knicks got through the first round, Jalen Brunson being the leader, and they lost in the second round, unfortunately, to the Miami Heat in 6. But Jalen Brunson already have one playoff season under his belt. He knows what to expect in the playoffs. He knows what that New York atmosphere, the New York media. I would definitely have the Knicks in 6. But having said all that, I wouldn't take the Indiana Pacers lightly. And also, we got to take into consideration how the Indiana Pacers right now, all they love to do, they love to try and run the ball. That's how they were able to get to the finals of the in-season tournament, where they lost to the Lakers. But the playoffs and the in-season tournament is two different things. They were able to get to the finals because the finals of the in-season tournament because I feel like a lot of players didn't really know if they should take it seriously or not. They were kind of acting like they were too cool for school. The good thing about the Indiana Pacers is that they had some form of success, so they know what success looks like, even though it was the inaugural season of the in-season tournament. But they were able to get to the finals in that tournament. The playoffs is a little bit different. The playoffs, the way you play in the regular season, your regular season record, all that stuff is kind of thrown out the window. Everything changes in the playoffs. The offense slows down. Like I said earlier, the physicality ramps up. The intensity ramps up. The refs are going to let a lot more calls go. And the nucleus of the Indiana Pacers, spotlight on Tyrese Halliburton, he doesn't know that. He doesn't have any experience, which is why I would take the New York Knicks in the first round against the Indiana Pacers if they were to move up to that 5th slot and overtake the Philadelphia 76ers. But going back to Philly, I mean, listen, I saw the game on Thursday, I believe it was, where the Knicks went into Philly. We were up by 20. I think the most was maybe like 22 points that the Knicks were up. The Philadelphia 76ers were able to bring it back to down as little as 6. Thankfully, Coach Tiz made a really, really smart call, and he left a small lineup in of Deuce, Dante, Josh, Jalen Brunson, and Precious at the 5. And then they were able to extend the lead back up, and the Knicks ended up winning. But my overall takeaway from that game is the 76ers without Embiid is just, I don't know. I don't want to say that they're giving up, but it just seems like they're trying to figure out a lot. And with less than 30 games left in the season, they're kind of in no man's land. They're waiting to see if Embiid comes back, and then if he does come back, how are they going to incorporate him into the offense? And they need to see how Embiid looks, how that knee looks. Again, it's just interesting how Paul Pierce says that he knows that Embiid is coming back, when I feel like, he's an ex-player, so I don't know, maybe he might have some inside information, but for the most part, all the reports are saying that everybody is still waiting. Embiid is still waiting. The organization is still waiting to see how he reacts to that meniscus surgery that he had. A lot of people are saying that he should actually sit it out. Unfortunately, he had an amazing season. Prior to the injury, he was undoubtedly going to be the MVP, back-to-back MVP. He was putting up numbers that I've never seen from a big man, let alone his agility and his skill and his talent. What he's able to do on the floor is absolutely ridiculous. So it's unfortunate. But Embiid, you're probably not watching this. You probably never hear this. But please sit out. Do not put your career in jeopardy and try to rush back and try to make a run. The smart play is to wait until next season. Hopefully your knee will be repaired by that time and you can make another run. But going back to the standings right now, Boston number 1, Cleveland at number 2, which is a bit surprising. Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen, I should correct myself, put the team on their back when Darius Garland went out, and I believe they won 18 for the next 20 games when those 2 injuries happened. So much respect to Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. They're at the number 2 seed, Milwaukee at the number 3, our Knicks at the number 4, 76ers at 5, Indiana at 6, Miami, Orlando, Chicago, and Atlanta rounding out the top 10. Now, looking at those standings, the only teams that I'm only worried about the Boston Celtics and the one team that people always forget because in the regular season, they're just dragging along and nobody brings up their name in conversation, the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, when I keep saying time and time again, whenever April 26th or whenever the playoffs start, Jimmy Butler turns into Jimmy Jordan. Eric Spoelstra turns into Eric Popovich or Eric Auerbach, whatever you want to say. They're just geniuses on the basketball floor. Eric Spoelstra is a genius as a coach. Jimmy Butler is, I don't know how else to explain him. He's always going to be on my top 10 for what he does in the playoffs every single year. So Miami, you always got to be aware of Miami and where they are in the rankings, where they are in the standings, and exactly how they look like going into the playoffs. Now, the Boston Celtics, they're the only other team that I'm worried about because the Boston Celtics, they just have a lot of bodies, man, especially Kristaps Porzingis. If Kristaps Porzingis is going to have a healthy playoff run going into the finals, if they make it into the finals, the Boston Celtics is going to be a handful. Kristaps Porzingis, what he's able to do, he's able to put everybody back into their natural position, and he's able to spread the floor. He gives them a weapon that they haven't had. Maybe when Al Horford was like the last prime season of Al Horford when he was the Boston Celtics, maybe that's the only time I can think of a player where Kristaps can be compared to. But then on top of that, you got to deal with Derek White. You got to deal with Jrue Holiday. You got to deal with the All-Star tandem with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Now again, they have their faults. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. They've been to the finals, and you have nothing to show for it as of right now. But that could change this season. All in all, bringing it back to Paul Pierce's statement, Paul Pierce was absolutely wilding when he was saying those things. I cannot believe he said that he's not taking the Knicks to coming out of the first round. If it was the Philadelphia 76ers or the Indiana Pacers, and if you're able to watch the video, you saw that towards the end of the video, he made a bet with his boy saying that if the Knicks were able to get past the first round, he's actually going to wear a Jalen Brunson jersey for the next week of recording that show. And I think it's safe to say that he's probably going to have to do that because that's more than likely that's going to happen. If it's Philly, if it's Indiana, hell, I don't know. Even if Cleveland has some horrible drop and they end up losing the next 20 out of 25 games, I don't know. That's probably way far-fetched. But if that happens and Cleveland ends up playing the Knicks in the first round, I'm taking the Knicks. It's Knicks all day, baby. Like I keep saying, Taj Gibson for president. Jalen Brunson, even though he wasn't able to win the All-Star game, MVP. It's Jalen Brunson for regular season MVP. Jalen Brunson for finals MVP. But before I wrap up the video, I just want to say thank you guys for checking out this video. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of Paul Pierce's crazy statement about the Knicks not making it past the first round. But until next time, guys, like I just said, Taj Gibson for president. Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs. And we out. Peace.